Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. Last night, the Miami Heat went into Detroit and pulled off their best win of the season, knocking off the Detroit Pistons, the number one seed in the East. They won 118 to 112. And what makes this win special isn't just the score and winning the game, but it's how they did it. So the Miami Heat didn't score 140 points. Their offense wasn't amazing last night. They just found a way to win through toughness, through defense, through maturity, and enough offense late in the game to sustain a huge comeback from the Detroit Pistons. But all season long, the Miami Heat's identity has been around this new offense, their pace and space. Whenever they score 140 points, they're undefeated. They've done that like 7 or 8 times so far this season. Last season, they did it probably one time or so. But Thursday night, the Miami Heat, they shot 43% from the field. They turned the ball over 18 times, and they posted not one of their best offensive ratings of the year in this game, and they still were able to win on the road in Detroit against the best team in the East. And so that is a huge win for the Miami Heat. They've won 4 games in a row now. This is not luck, hopefully, and this is a sign of a team that is growing throughout a long NBA season, and they're finding different ways to win. Because last year, this would have been another clutch game they lost, another game in the third and fourth quarter where they're up by 22 points or more that they were going to blow. And this is something that the Miami Heat avoided last night. Eric Spoelstra basically said last night, these games aren't always going to go based on our identity, which is the new offense. You still have to find ways to overcome and get the win. And that's exactly what happened last night. The game, I think, was won on the defensive end. The Heat forced 21 Pistons turnovers. They turned that into 24 points, which was huge for them. And again, during this 4-game winning streak, Miami has consistently punished teams for their mistakes. They're averaging around 20 points per game on those turnovers that they're creating, and those turnovers are helping the Miami Heat win these games. And the Miami Heat, they were just active, and especially on the defensive end, they were jumping passing lanes. They were digging down on drives. They were protecting the paint. They also, on the offensive end, had multiple efforts on the same possession, whether it was on offense or defense. Miami limited Detroit to one of its worst offensive games of the season, even though they still scored 112 points, but still one of the worst games for the Pistons. And again, this team doesn't need to be elite offensively every night to win, especially if their defense looks like this. And Bam Adebayo last night had 15 and 14, and he was the anchor, of course, and he was the defensive quarterback. He provided physicality down low at the rim. He set the tone for the Miami Heat in that third quarter, the huge third quarter where the Miami Heat went up by 22 points. And he was great. He was a huge catalyst. And again, all of his stats don't just show up on the box score. People like to nitpick and look at, his scoring predominantly and say he only had 15 points, but defensively he was everywhere. Per usual, he was switching out the guards, again, protecting the rim, calling out coverages, cleaning up things when rotations broke down, getting the rebounds, 14 boards. Huge for the Miami Heat. And after the game, Bam said something that honestly says a lot about the team. He said Spo is a maniac about the third quarters. And, last season, the season before, third quarters killed us, essentially. And this wasn't a third quarter. That's why he wanted to lock in defensively and focus on giving the Miami Heat a real opportunity to go into the fourth quarter with a lead, which typically, if they do have a lead in the fourth quarter, they are a good team, and they do win more when they are going into the fourth quarter with a lead. So Bam was great as a defensive anchor last night. Jaime Jaquez Jr., he just continues to be one of the most reliable players on the roster off the bench. He scored 19 points off the bench, also contributed on the glass with 3 rebounds, 5 assists. He hit a huge shot in the fourth quarter with like 30 seconds left or whatever it was, under a minute, to put the Heat back up by 4 when the Pistons came within 2 points after being down by 20 points in the fourth quarter. And he basically bailed the Miami Heat out with that huge shot. So Jaime looks great. He looks like a sixth man of the year candidate, which is great. What a bounce back year for Jaime Jaquez. And coming off the bench, he brings physicality to this Miami Heat's offense and defense. He provides poise, confidence, leadership, and he shows in that fourth quarter especially last night, zero fear of the moment, which is growth, which is what I love to see. But what really stood out too from him was his quote after the game saying, "You can't just win all the time scoring 140 points. Offense is not going to just click like that all the time. That's unrealistic. You have to find ways to win." And that's something that the Miami Heat did. And that's going to contribute to winning basketball is if you find ways to win in different ways and avoid losing games in different ways like they did last year. So Jaime gets it and he plays like it. Like again, he's making a huge case to be the sixth man of the year after a horrible sophomore slump. He looks amazing. Another player that looked amazing, obviously, last night was Norman Powell, who carried our offense. He deserves so much credit here. He scored 36 points last night on 7 for 14 shooting. He was amazing. It didn't matter who was guarding him last night. He was cooking and carried this Miami Heat team, especially in that third quarter. He lit it up. And this was a huge game for the Miami Heat. It was a physical game. And, typically we play bad against the Pistons because of their size. Jalen Duren did get injured and missed most of the second half, I believe. But either way, the Miami Heat were great last night, and Powell was composed last night. He provided our offense with veteran presence, his experience. He wasn't panicking. He was taking his shots quickly and definitively, and he's making a case for an all-star right now. He's pushing to become an all-star, so we need to vote him to be probably the only all-star. I don't know if Bam has played well enough this season where he can be an all-star. It just depends on how good the Miami Heat do in the next few weeks before the break. If the Miami Heat can get up to like the fourth seed, then possibly we have a chance. But Bam, I don't know if he is going to be an all-star. But late in games, Norman Powell is the guy that we've been going to, and he's been carrying us this season while Tyler Hero has basically missed the entire season. Other guys, to give credit to, players like the Drew Smiths, that these players, they don't show up on the highlight reels, but last night he definitely contributed to the Miami Heat's win with ball pressure, chasing loose balls, being annoying defensively. He got 9 points off the bench, and you don't win games without those types of guys off of the bench. So huge win for the Miami Heat, even though it was an ugly win, as they did hold on to win against the Detroit Pistons on the road. The Miami Heat are 19-15 now, 4-game winning streak, beating not only the Pistons but the Nuggets, and they're stacking up some wins. They have a big game against the T-Wolves, so going to be a tough game there. But if this Miami Heat can continue to win these games, they are going to climb the ladder in the East. They are still 7th, I believe, in the East after the 76ers also won last night. So the Magic and the Sixers are ahead of the Miami Heat. So the Heat are 7th, but they are tied with the Magic. But some of those losses to the Magic have them ahead. And I don't think the Heat have played the Sixers yet. So they're 18-14, only half a game basically above the Miami Heat at this point. The Miami Heat are only 2.5 games from the third seed Celtics, who are 21-12. Still a very big surprise that the Celtics were playing this well without Jason Tatum. But essentially, the defense for this Miami Heat is becoming a safety net. When shots don't fall, they could still compete. Obviously, that's been a calling card for this Miami Heat team, but they're 4th in defensive rating. Their offensive rating is slowly climbing, which is great. If they can be top 10 in both, that would be huge for this Miami Heat team. And again, this streak feels different after losing 8 of 9, which was so frustrating. They're 4 games above 500, gaining confidence. And Spo said it's a great start to 2026, and he's not wrong. So huge win for the Miami Heat. Again, stacking up as much wins as possible. You need to take the regular season serious, and this was thankfully a huge win they were able to get in the Eastern Conference, stacking up these wins. Big game against the T-Wolves, and I think if we can win this game, I'm going to fall for it again and believe that the Miami Heat have a shot to contend again for a top 4 seed. We'll see. So they play tomorrow against the Wolves, and then Sunday they play a Pelicans team who's been playing a lot better in the West, even though they're one of the worst teams technically in the West. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.